breaking news from CNN.
Walmart, the world's largest retailer, joining Best Buy, Starbucks, and Costco, requiring all customers to wear masks starting Monday.
Unrelated, Walmart now selling face masks. Set your phasers to fun. You're watching the live stream. Hello, everyone. I am your Heavenly Father. Welcome to the live stream. We'll be covering a ton of Trump dump today. It just keeps dumping. It's mind-boggling, the level of stuff that's coming out. Dr. Howard, hey, how are you? The chat window seems to be active because Dr. Howard just says something, so we're going to get right into this. We're going to do this for a little while, and then we'll come back later today because Trump's going to do even more news dumping. So, Casey, good to see you. Let's get going with this. This is a CBS interview from last night. CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell. That does not want to play.
This is serving the veteran.
Oh, come on.
Focused on.
I had this all queued up, and here we are. Give me a second.
To speed up the testing.
Go back.
One of the major
A little bit less.
Guidelines.
A little bit less. Here we go.
Vaccine front. Manny, thank you. We're going to turn now to our exclusive interview with President Trump and his comments on coronavirus, reopening schools, and excessive force by police. CBS's Catherine Herridge also asked the president if there should be a federal mandate wearing masks or if that's up to governors.
They can have their own guidelines, but they go by the CDC guidelines, and right now that's saying wear a mask, and that's okay with me. That's good.
Would you urge Americans to wear a mask?
If it's necessary, I would urge them to wear a mask, and I would say follow the guidelines.
Okay. Let's talk about testing. Back in March, you said every American who wants a test will get a test. But one of the major labs in the U.S. announced today that the average wait time for a result is about 7 days. So is the national
and you can't get a test.
Testing strategy working?
Working. We have 45 million tests as of, I think, today, approximately 45 million tests. No other country tests like us. In fact, I could say it's working too much.
Okay, no. Wow. I don't think I'm prepared for this. It's still morning time. Hi, everybody. Andy, Bev, Danielle, Jana. Good to see everybody. Got a lot to cover today. So everybody else in the chat room or anybody else watching, welcome. If you'd like to get into the chat room, go to youtube.com/KevinlyFather. Yeah, testing is too much. I'm being tested too. We're all being tested too much right now, but not the kind of tests we need. You still can't get a test in many major cities around the country and in many suburban and in many rural areas. It's just there's just not enough tests. There's not enough reagent right now. The solution that you have to put the swab into, there's not enough of it out there, and you can't get it on the open market. It's obviously very specific.
Working too well. We're doing testing, and we're finding thousands and thousands of cases.
What can you do to speed up the testing result time?
There are different.
Okay, so they're cutting this to shreds. And it may be, I think it's on one of the Sunday shows for CBS this weekend, but I don't control this.
Different kinds of tests. There are tests that are very good, very strong, where you send it to a laboratory. The best thing we can do is we're doing more and more of them is on-site testing. So you can wait a half an hour, you can wait, in some cases, like in Abbott, you could wait 5 minutes for the test
Will
result.
you push for more on-site testing?
I like it the best. I mean, I like it the best. It might not be as accurate, by the way, but I like it the best.
On education.
It is
the Los
not
Angeles...
as accurate. The Abbott test that he just mentioned has up to a 50% false positive rating. So no, it's not as accurate. In the White House, what they're doing is testing people using the Abbott machine, from what I've read. And then if they do test positive, they test them again. And
School district is the latest and one of the largest in the country to say they're not going back to school in the fall.
Mistake.
What do you tell parents and teachers who feel that it's unsafe to go back?
I would tell parents and teachers that you should find yourself a new person, whoever's in charge of that decision, because it's a terrible decision.
Yeah, so parents, if you're deciding your kids shouldn't go back to school, find new parents for your kids.
Because children and parents are dying from that trauma too. They're dying because they can't do what they're doing. Mothers can't go to work because all of a sudden they have to stay home and watch their child.
You don't die because you're not going to work. That's I mean, if you have a job. Yes, unemployment can raise the suicide rate, and we won't know yet how much suicide will be increased. But what we do know is that people are not going to their doctor's appointment for routine mammograms, et cetera, et cetera. So rather than just saying, hey, everybody get back into school, we should be saying, people, go to your doctor's office. It is safe. I just took Kevin Lee's daughter to the doctor yesterday, and extremely rigorous in terms of their procedures. We waited in the parking lot, all the screening, normally the checklist that you fill out. Oh, I've had this surgery and this surgery, etc. I've got this allergy. All of that was done via phone with us sitting in the parking lot. And then when she went in, she had a mask, and the only time she took her mask off was when the doctor was actually looking in her throat. That was the only moment that the mask came off.
And fathers, what's happening, there's a tremendous strain on that whole side of the equation.
So it's a balancing act.
It is a balancing act, but we have to open our schools.
Don't help him.
President Trump, back in 2015,
do not help him.
You said the Confederate battle flag belongs in a museum. Do you still believe that?
All I say is freedom of speech. It's very simple. My attitude is freedom of speech. Very strong views on the Confederate flag. With me, it's freedom of speech. Very simple.
And the obvious question here is, well, is burning a flag freedom of speech? Because the Supreme Court says it is. And also with freedom of speech, is it okay to kneel during the national anthem? Is that freedom of speech? Is it okay to... These are all obvious questions.
Don't like it. It's freedom of speech.
Would you be comfortable with your supporters displaying the Confederate battle flag at political events?
It depends on what your definition is, but I am comfortable with freedom of speech. It's very...
Okay, so there's got to be a follow-up here. My definition would be, would you be okay if someone at your rally waved a Confederate flag? That's where, give him the definition. Don't let him skirt around. Well, it just depends on what you mean by offended.
Simple.
You understand why the flag is a painful symbol for many people because it's a reminder of slavery.
Well, people love it, and I know people that like the Confederate flag, and they're not thinking about slavery. I look at NASCAR. You go to NASCAR, you had those flags all over the...
Okay, we're not talking about them. We're talking about the people that do consider it a symbol of slavery. If they're offended by America's dark history, is it okay if one of your followers waves the Confederate flag? And first off, it's not the Confederate flag, it's the Confederate battle flag for all you nerds out there. Nerd check, you failed. Is it okay if they wave the battle flag of the country that attacked the United States? Is that cool with you?
They stopped it. I just think it's freedom of speech, whether it's Confederate flags or Black Lives Matter or anything else you want to talk about. It's freedom of speech.
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
Is phase 2 of the trade talks with China...
Okay, fact check on that. Yes, more white people are killed by police, but blacks are disproportionately killed by the police per capita. So I'm sorry, Nora's doing an absolutely abysmal job here. Just is that, I don't even know if that's Nora. I'm assuming it says Nora, but Nora could be the anchor who threw it to this reporter. I don't know, people, but whomever this reporter is, this is abysmal. The things that he is saying, to not follow up on those, unless it's all being edited out. I don't know. Maybe they're throwing him softballs because they want to get another interview because it's obviously good for ratings. This is embarrassing.
Dead.
Let's go back. I want to hear that question.
Right now. People. So are white people.
Okay, so this is not Nora. That's what I thought. Nora is the anchor, and I apologize. I don't know who this reporter is.
People. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
Is phase 2 of the trade talks with China dead?
Okay, I have to put in the caveat here. This could be editing. This could not be the reporter. Because they keep chopping this thing. Chopped like Seattle. Ha! It's a protest reference.
Hands of law enforcement in this country.
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question
all the per
to ask.
capitas.
So are white people. More white people, by the way. more white people.
Is phase
Hi, Marcy.
2 of the trade talks with China
Hey, Bev.
dead?
I'm not interested right now in talking to China.
So is
I've
it
always
on
had a tough
hold, on the
stance.
back
Look, we
burner?
made a great trade deal.
He's upset with China because of the coronavirus, because the coronavirus chose to be created in China. So he's not talking to China, even though there's a trade deal currently happening with China that he signed, and the ink wasn't dry, even though I looked it up on Sharpie's website. The Sharpie ink of his signature, it's dry within 3 minutes. But anyway, that's a needless fact check.
But as soon as the deal was done, the ink wasn't even dry, and they hit us with the plague. Okay? So right now, I'm not interested in talking to China about another deal. I'm interested in doing other things with China.
And how will you?
There it is. They hit us with the plague. There's no evidence that China actually attacked us with the plague. They didn't at the time. Okay, here's the thing. If China didn't intend to destroy our economy by sending the plague, they sure as hell know how to do it now. Thanks to Trump.
You hold the Chinese government accountable for COVID-19.
You'll see. You'll see. It's not for you. It's for me.
But you will
What?
hold them accountable.
You'll see.
What?
Plague. Okay? So right now, I'm not interested in talking to China about another deal. I'm interested in doing other things with China.
And how will you hold the Chinese government accountable for COVID-19?
You'll see. You'll see. It's not for you. It's for me.
But you will hold them accountable.
You'll see.
And we looked into the president's claims about law enforcement deaths.
Catherine
Researchers
Herridge.
suggest that black people are about 3 times more likely to be killed by police. But the overall number of white people killed is higher because whites represent a larger percentage of the population, Nora.
All right, Catherine Herridge with that big interview.
Okay, so she followed up there and she did the fact check, but those facts, everybody knows those facts. The big problem here is that there is no national database of police shootings. Insanely, there isn't. Except the Washington Post tries to keep track of every single one. A lot of times the information they're looking for isn't available. But yes, blacks are disproportionately killed. I've seen studies just above 2. I've seen studies of 2.8. Again, we don't have a national database. Easy to put together. The president signed an executive order a couple of weeks ago saying that we should have a national database. Haven't heard whether that's happened or not. But what the president did do is yesterday, he took away the control part of the Centers for Disease Control. The CDC will no longer be tracking hospitalization numbers. And the sites, for example, let's go to the site that I always like to go to here, my new favorite site, which is COVID Exit Strategy. COVID Exit Strategy, and they're the ones with the pretty colored map. So I'll show you the map here in a second. Red is bad. It's like a stoplight, okay? It's a stoplight, but dark red, that's really bad. So there you go. So the red being bad and the maroon states being states where Trump is being a maroon. And then here we go. Here's the update for July 15th. Unfortunately, our data source for ICUs and beds has been removed by the CDC. Our hope is this loss of critical public health information is temporary. HHS is instituting a new process for collecting information. So it's apparently being transferred over to HHS. No one knows yet if we're going to see those numbers. I certainly hope that we do. Oh, boy. Hey, Random Image. Haven't seen you in here before. Hi, Billy. Keep tweeting or chatting or whatever you're doing because I make money off of it. So what else is happening? So Trump also had a little meeting about MS-13. But first, let's do his helicopter moments. He's just taking off to head to Atlanta, and he had a helicopter moment here. If you missed it, last night, Peter Navarro published an op-ed in the USA Today criticizing Dr. Fauci, saying that every interaction he's had with Dr. Fauci has been wrong on. That's terrible English, but my mother's dead, so she wouldn't mind. Let's go to this one right here. Here's an ad for C-SPAN podcast. Helicopter moments on the live stream.
We're making a trip. You know where we're going, and it won't be long. We'll be back here pretty early.
Atlanta.
Discussing a lot of very interesting topics. The markets are very good. The country's doing well. Jobs are growing fast. We want schools
140,000 dead Americans. Country's doing well.
to be open, and they will be a lot of very interesting topics. The markets are very good. The country's doing well. Jobs are growing fast. We want schools to be open, and they will be open, and they'll be open, I think.
He has no power to open the schools. The president has zero power, even in the District of Columbia. Cannot open the schools.
Relatively on time, hopefully perfectly on time, most places.
Oh, sorry.
And do you have any question?
Thank you.
I'm very happy that Tommy Tuberville won the race. I think he's going to be a great senator. We don't have a good senator in there right now in Jones. He's not doing the job. He should be doing a much better job. Certainly he doesn't represent the views of the people of Alabama.
Jones is a Democrat. He was elected by the people of Alabama.
That's for sure. So we're not happy about him at all. I don't think the people of Alabama are happy with their representation.
Thanks, everyone, for telling me the map is still up. I'm changing the computer stuff. The exciting part of that, the end result of all of what's going on right now, is that we should be able to have our special guest tomorrow, and I'll announce that later today. And then moving forward, we should be able to have special guests featured and actually do interviews with your questions, and more importantly, with my questions.
In the Senate. And Tommy Tuberville is going to be a great senator. He was a great coach. I spoke to another coach last night, unrelated, and he said Tommy Tuberville was a great coach and he's a great guy. Someday I'll tell you who said that, but he's somebody respected. So it was a tremendous win.
None of us are waiting for him to tell us who that person was that said that the Alabama coach is a great coach. But someday... Can't wait till he publishes that book.
Tommy Tuberville last night. I'm very happy about it. And also a tremendous win for Ronnie Jackson. And it looks like it could be a tremendous win for a gentleman named Gonzalez. You know about that, too. That race is still a little bit going on. It's by the time I got involved, a lot of the votes were already cast. But I got involved really at the last moment. We think he can easily win that area. So, and two very good candidates. Reyes is a great candidate, and so is Gonzalez. But when I got involved, a lot of the votes, early votes, were cast, and it was a big comeback. It was a big comeback. So that's going to be a very interesting race. The other thing, very, very amazing, somebody you all know is Ronnie Jackson. Admiral Ronnie, Doc Ronnie, we call him
Ronnie,
different things, but
the Candyman.
They respect Ronnie Jackson a lot, yeah.
Ronnie Jackson, Dr. Ronnie Jackson, is the doctor who said that Trump was 243 pounds. Can't hear the question.
It could happen. It could happen. Antifa's no good. They're bad. They're bad people. And it could very well happen.
I'm guessing the question is something about, is Antifa going to be declared terrorism? I don't know. Oh, okay. So this question is about the coronavirus being transferred to the HHS from the CDC that we were just talking about. And for those of you who are just joining us, hey, get on to youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. I can tell by the Twitter comments here, those of you on Twitter and Periscope, you're about 30 seconds behind everybody else in the YouTube chat room. So youtube.com/KevinLeeFather is the fastest chat. And what's happened is that Trump has taken the hospitalization data away from CDC and transferred it to HHS, but no one knows where it is with HHS. So that's why this question, why was the data taken away from CDC?
Change for me. Look, they're all on the same team. We're all in the same team, including Dr. Fauci. I have a very good relationship with Dr. Fauci.
A very good relationship with Dr. Why make the change? The question is, why was the change made?
And we're all in the same team. We want to get rid of this mess that China sent us. So everybody's working on the same line, and we're doing very well. We're doing well in a lot of ways, and our country's coming back very strong. When you look at those job numbers, we've never had job numbers like we have right now.
Never had to.
It's coming back very strong.
Okay. Hey, Bryn.
Well, he made a statement.
Okay, so this is a question about Peter Navarro, who yesterday published the op-ed attacking Fauci in USA Today. So the question, I heard the end of the question saying, going rogue.
Never had job numbers like we have right now. So it's coming back very strong. Okay? Well, he made a statement representing himself. He shouldn't be doing that. No, I have a very good relationship with Anthony. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, and the point of that was the White House is now disavowing Peter Navarro. That being said, nothing's going to happen. Any other administration, somebody goes out of their way to criticize Dr. Fauci. If a president supported Dr. Fauci, which, by the way, every other president, Dr. Fauci has worked for 38 presidents, if I'm remembering correctly. Every one of them was a big fan of Dr. Fauci. In fact, he got the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Bush W. I think he's worked for 7 presidents now. But in this, like, nothing's going to happen to Navarro. Navarro will be back out there on the Sunday shows in 2 weeks. What's going on in the chat room, guys? You'd be better than me today. But when I hook up, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, he keeps saying that Dr. Fauci is a really nice guy. He just doesn't agree with his decisions all the time. And Fauci, as we have seen, has been tiptoeing around. For those of you who didn't join the broadcast yesterday, let me see if I can bring up what Dr. Fauci said yesterday. I can. I'm going to find that, and while I'm finding that, I'm going to play you why Dr. Fauci says we're in such bad shape.
Too soon.
In the United States, even in the most strict lockdown, only about 50% of the country locked down. That allowed the perpetuation of the outbreak that we never did get under very good control.
So Fauci is blaming the states for opening up too soon and never really completely shutting down like the countries in Europe, etc. did, and that's why the curve in Europe is down at the bottom of the graph. The United States is topping 60,000 per day. Somebody asked yesterday, Fauci from Georgetown University, they asked him, who should we trust for our information, the president or you?
I would stick with respected medical authorities who have a track record of telling the truth, who have a track record of giving information and policy and recommendations based on scientific evidence and good data. So if I were to give advice to you and your family and your friends of your family, I would say that's the safest bet to do, to listen to the recommendations from that category of people. But it's entirely understandable how the public can get mixed messages and then get a bit confused about what they should do.
Okay, a few more things from this morning, and we've got some coverage from yesterday as well, so we've got some time right now. Trump spoke this morning about MS-13. I'm going to bring that over so you guys can see what I'm seeing. And this is Trump. It's a meeting on MS-13, and all of us can agree, MS-13 is very, very bad. Fun fact, though, MS-13 was created in Los Angeles. It's not from Central America. It started right here in Los Angeles.
Job that they're supposed to be doing, and it's not a very tough job to do if they knew what they were doing. So we'll be talking about that next week and probably have an announcement as to what we're planning to do to help them. They're supposed to be asking for help.
The volume on this feed is very low. Give me a second. I'm just going to see if I can find another feed on this with higher volume. And I will bring that up. I just turned my volume down, so it's not your ears. Let's see. C-SPAN volume is usually quite low, but let's see if we get any luckier with this one. It's from a pool feed, so it's hard to adjust for them. Here we go. Anytime it's in the Oval Office, go ahead. And C-SPAN is going, but it's just not happening. Here it is.
We have a very important announcement, and we're going to state some facts and things that have happened recently that are very positive in terms of crime and crime prevention. This is about MS-13, and we'll have another announcement next week with the Attorney General, the FBI.
I'm still in Seattle.
And others.
But I'm going to be in L.A.
Concerning our cities, because the left-wing
group of people that are running our cities are not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, and it's not a very tough job to do if they
Oh, man, you gotta hate democracy.
knew what they were doing. So we'll be talking about that next week and probably have an announcement as to what we're planning to do to help them. They're supposed to be asking for help, and they don't want to ask, so maybe they're proud or maybe they think it's bad politically, but we can't have happen what's happening. But we're here today to provide an update on my administration's all-out campaign to destroy MS-13, a vile and evil gang of people. We've just concluded a historic operation leading to the arrest and indictment of dozens of savage MS-13 members and leaders all across the country. So this is something that's taken place over the last few days. I want to thank Attorney General Barr for doing a great job in many ways, not just here. Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Wolf and FBI Director Wray for joining us today, and we'll be discussing a little bit about what we did and where we're going. But MS-13 has been a problem for our country for a long time. We've taken them out by the thousands. While radical left-wing politicians have fought to open borders and welfare for illegal aliens, my administration has fought for safe streets. We want security for our people. We want the rule of law. We want law and order.
Well, it's not working. You can't say that the cities are all on fire and then say that you've been fighting for the safe streets. You're the guy in charge right now, dude.
In the last 3 years, ICE has deported over 16,000 gang members and arrested over 2,000 members of MS-13. Think of those numbers, 16,000.
Okay.
And arrested over 2,000 members of MS-13. We've also deported a lot of the MS-13s out of our country.
You just said that.
This week's actions by the Joint Task Force Vulcan is the most recent offense this has been a big offensive in my administration's war on foreign gangs, of which we came into this administration and we said, what's going on? We had gangs from countries that you wouldn't believe. More than 20 of the criminals we indicted and arrested in the past 7 days were illegal aliens. Yesterday, for the first time ever, the Eastern District of Virginia, thank you very much, indicted MS-13 leaders on charges of terrorism. So we have the MS-13 leader on charges of terrorism, and that's a first. Is that correct?
Yes. Wait, they got the MS-13 leader? Or he was a gang member? Because, yes, they did charge him with terrorism, but I don't think he was the leader of MS-13.
Yes, we're using terrorism, which gives us extra strength. In New York and Nevada, 21 MS-13 members and leaders have been indicted on charges including murder, kidnapping, and drug trafficking. The DOJ has also announced that it will seek the death penalty for a bloodthirsty MS-13 leader responsible for the despicable killing of 7 Americans, including 2 teenage girls. Over the past few days, the DOJ and DHS have made several arrests at high levels in these cases, including several immigration arrests. And I want to thank Chad Wolf for working along with the FBI and with the Attorney General. They've worked very closely together at the border. And the border, as you know, is setting new records for allowing people in that are allowed to come in.
I seldom believe, Dennis.
We believe the monsters who murder children should be put to death. We seem to have quite a good agreement on that. These people murder children, and they do it as slowly and viciously as possible. We will not allow these animals to terrorize our communities, and my administration will not rest until every member of MS-13 is brought to justice. We've done a great job with...
So resting doesn't include golfing, I guess.
MS-13, but now we're stepping it up even to a higher level. This has never happened before. There's never been any move like this before. Much of it's already taken place. Otherwise,
Obama was the deporter-in-chief. He deported thousands, including MS-3 gang members. 13. They've graduated now. They added 10 when Trump came into office. They're like, we better power up, dudes.
We wouldn't be talking about it. So when Biden and the radical left want to open borders for MS-13 and others, we want strong borders. We want, as I've said, we want borders. Without borders, you don't have a country, and we have a great country, and it's coming back stronger than ever, from job numbers to every other number. It's coming back stronger than ever before. So we're going to have a great third quarter. We're going to have a great fourth quarter, and next year is going to be one of the strongest years economically we've ever had. So I'm going to ask A.G. Barr to say a few words about the MS-13 and what we've done and what we're doing and where we plan to go. And next week we're going to have, I think, a very exciting news conference because we're going to be talking about some of these cities where the Democrats running them have just lost control of the cities. So that'll be very interesting.
So it's going to have a news conference about the cities next week. A, we'll see if that ever happens. B, it's going to be a distraction about something else. C, he can't do anything. It's going to be, he'll appoint a task force. And then he might do an executive order creating the task force and sign it and then hold it up for everybody and everybody will clap and he won't take questions. I hate this house.
Bill, please.
And then Barr speaks. Barr. Oh, there's a chart with bad guys.
And he met with the families of victims. They've been very cooperative.
Angel families, okay. Let's go back. Trump starts to talk again.
And the FBI.
You're right, David. 22nd, I think I actually have that. On June 22nd, Trump promised us a stimulus package in 2 weeks. And here it is right here. Do I have it? I don't have it readily available, but I can look it up. You guys watch.
With operations down in El Salvador.
In past administrations, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala did not cooperate with the United States at all. They wouldn't let us bring people back. And under this administration, a long time ago, almost I would say my second or third day, I said, that's not.
That's a complete nonsensical lie. There were 23 nations that were, they had a classification from ICE. I went and looked this up, and it was gone on the ICE website. They'd taken it down. Recalcitrant nations who were not taking back prisoners or illegal aliens or whatever from the United States. The only country in Central America that was part of that 23 was Cuba. Haiti was questionable. They did it sometimes, they did not. But there were no airplanes that were turned around and sent back from Central America. There was no bus. He said yesterday that a bus with illegal aliens was being sent back. Because that's what you do. You load all the MS-13 gang members onto a bus and drive the 1,200 miles through Mexico. I don't know if it's 1,200 miles. It sounds about right. 800 miles? I have no idea. I've never driven through Mexico on a bus. It's much longer on a bus. I know that. That's metric.
Not going to work. They'd bring them back and they'd say, get them out of here, we're not taking them. And they don't say that anymore. They don't even come close to saying that anymore. So the operation is going to be very good. This is probably the meanest, worst gang anywhere in the world, the MS-13 group. And a big dent is put in them. It took place over the last few days and really over the last year. Heavy focus on MS-13. They're an evil group of people. They're sick, they're deranged, and we're taking care of it. And I want to just thank these great crime fighters that are with us today. Thank you.
While he's thanking the crime fighters, let's take a look at that, what he promised. This is June 22nd, which is now 4 weeks ago.
In Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, who are still struggling economically, sir. They spent all of that first stimulus check. Are you going to get them a second stimulus check?
Yeah, we are. Look, we had this.
When are you going to get it?
We had this going better than anybody's ever seen before. We had the best job numbers, the best economics, the best economy we've ever had. And then we had the virus come in from China, and now we're rebuilding it again. We will be doing another stimulus package. It'll be very good. It'll be very generous. And
how much? How much? People want to know.
You'll find out about it. You'll find out.
When are you going to do it? When are you going to announce it?
I think over the next, I think it's going to be bipartisan. I think it's going to be over the next couple of weeks, probably.
Next couple of weeks. That was 4 weeks ago. And no word of any new stimulus checks. They are talking about it. The Democrats have already passed the HEROES Act. It has money for the schools. It has money for first responders. It has money for medical equipment. It has money for blah, 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 blah. And Mitch has blocked it in the Senate. So that's what's going on. I was thinking about doing something with Mary's book. I was thinking about taking Mary Trump's book and reading it chapter by chapter on YouTube or reading the highlights from the chapter. I don't want to read the entire chapter of every book. I don't know if people would be interested in something like that, but it's something that I could probably do. Let's get back.
U.S. Attorney from Nevada, Nick Trutanich, the U.S. Attorney from the Eastern District of Virginia, Zach Terwilliger, obviously you know the Director of the FBI, Matt Albens of the ICE. You have to make sure DHS check from Junior.
That's 13 for
So important.
Okay, here we go. Back to
on
Trump.
Long Island, which is one of the hotbeds of MS-13 activity, or at least was.
Good luck, Jim.
Sorry, Lizzie.
That's really good. So important. It's like central casting. People are like central casting, and you're going to do a great job, and we appreciate it.
Okay, central casting, and I'm in central casting because Kevin Lee Daughter is in central casting. It's for extras. It's just for background. You don't get lines. You just stand there or you cross. I'm not ragging on background actors. I've done background acting before. Central casting is nothing to brag about.
Appreciate it. And we will be meeting you in a similar vein, but a little different subject next week, and that concerns our cities. And again, people that have lost control of some of our great cities. We're going to straighten things out. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
You talked about taking over cities earlier this week. Is that what next week's announcement is about?
You'll be seeing next week. We'll have a conference next week, and we'll tell you in great detail. But it's something that I think at this point the American people want to see. They've been run very poorly, these cities, whether it's Seattle, where we were getting ready to go in, and they decided to go in, and that's good.
Okay, so good. Seattle taken care of. Problem solved. So why are we going in?
Minneapolis, where we had the National Guard go in.
You did not. He did not send the National Guard in. The governor is the one who calls the National Guard in. He can only send in the National Guard in Washington, D.C., none of the states.
And as soon as they did that, we straightened that mess out. They should have been able to do it locally.
2 more nights of riots, but okay.
With their police. Their police are good. They were told not to do anything. Or many other cases. We're doing a great job in Portland. Portland was very rough, and they called us in, and we did a good job, to put it mildly. Many people in jail right now. But we have other cities that are out of control. They're like war zones. And if the city isn't going to straighten it out, if local politicians, all in this case, I don't say this for political reasons, they're all Democrats. They're liberal, left-wing Democrats.
I don't say this for political reasons. They're all Democrats. What? Then don't say it. That's because you're not. You're a Republican. I don't want to be forward, but I would love to put my penis inside you.
Democrats, and it's almost like they think this is going to be this way forever. Where in Chicago, 68 people were shot and 18 died last week. We're not going to put up with that. We're not going to put up with that. So
that's your America, Mr. Trump. Remember back in 2017 where you said you were going to fix Chicago? If they didn't fix it, well, Chicago's not fixed. That's 3 years now. 3 years he's been in power, and he's been threatening to fix Chicago, and he's done nothing. But next week, maybe, again, the title of the Trump movie, after all of this is done, we'll see what happens.
For our next discussion. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's go.
Yeah, there's gun violence in the States. I think Europe, Andy, is so immune to it now that they're just like, it would just, when it comes, every time I see coverage of the States and gun violence and shootings in America from Europe, it's like the announcers are like, okay, so, school shooting, America, let's go to cricket. I think we're almost out of time here. We will be back later in the day. He's gone to Atlanta. We still have to cover yesterday's fiasco, and then there was the report or the interview from the weekend. We'll cover that as well. But I've got other stuff to get done right now, so you guys all have a wonderful time. And we have many surprises coming. I'm not going to tell you what they are because then they wouldn't be surprises. Unless you're a patron, and I'll tell you all about them. Hey, if you'd like to support me on Patreon, do it. I'm not stopping you. KevinLeeFather.com is where you want to go to find me on Patreon. KevinLeeFather.com. If you want to make a one-time donation, PayPal.me/KevinLeeDad. Right there. And then you can support this kind of nonsense, and we can do more of it. Because it's nonstop lately. It's almost like there's an election coming up. Okay, everybody, we will see you later. Here are some credits that are not updated over the last couple of days. So, Bev Klein, you're not in them, but you are right there. Bev Klein, everybody. If you run into her, say thank you. No, you're not in the dock. You're not in the. You're not in the dock. Dr. Howard. You will, as soon as it's shared on Patreon, you will know. But there are things coming down the pipe. Speaking of pipes, we're Segme. I can't talk today. I'm done, people. We'll see you a little bit later.
Thank you so much, Kevin.